Hey guys, before I get back to the Hallicrafters, a new toy just arrived and I've got to take some time out to show it off to you because I think it's really cool. What is it? Well, it's the name Hickok down there. And if you recall, I was just talking about tube testers and going through some of the models I've got. Well, this is a new tube tester. But it doesn't work like any tube tester you've probably seen before. I've heard about these for a while. I never expected to own one, but a deal came up that I just couldn't pass up on, so here it is. It is a Hickok 121 Cardmatic tube tester from 1959. The idea was to make a tube tester that was idiot-proof, or at least as idiot-proof as I could make one. And if you recall my other videos, or if you ever used a tube tester before, you know that you got to look up the tube, and there's a whole bunch of switches and settings you got to set for the filament, the load, and so on. Well, what this uses is punch cards. I guess computers were all the rage in the late 50s, so they decided to adopt the same technique as banks and the Census Bureau and such were using, and make a tube tester that worked off of punch cards. So the idea is you gotta look through all these cards and find the tube, or sorry, rather find the card for the tube you want to test. So let's see, here's the tubes for this Hallicrafters. Let's pick out those 12 SN7s like I was testing before. Here we go. Alright, so I'll find a card for the 12 SN7. I already picked out the right stack. These are organized numerically from lowest to highest, so not too hard to find it. Let's see, 12 SN7, right around here, SK7, SN7. Now some of these multi-function tubes have more than one card, so this says 12 SN7, card 1 of 3. I read the manual. This did actually come with all the original manuals, which is really nice. And this actually goes a step further. In addition to testing each of the two triode sections in this tube, it also checks it for a couple different modes. One way this tube was commonly used was for Class A audio amplifiers. Here's a better one. You can see the inside of internal elements. There's two triodes in there. So one of these three cards will test this as if it was used as a Class A audio amplifier. Another card will test it as if it was a multi-vibrator, which is used in TVs for sweeping the electron beam back and forth. So that's extra cool. So it was meant to really help servicemen. So if you're working an audio amp, you'd pull out the one card. If you're working on a TV, you'd pull out the other card and check the tube. The meter, they made it a little bit easier too. So even though this does measure transconductance and micromos and all that, they kept the meter just saying quality. That's the mid-range. That's what actually tests it, for example, for how well it amplifies. And then leakage and gas if the tube has lost some of its vacuum. Alright, so the way this works is, well, it's got a slot here. Here's what it says, insert card here. So you put alright, works better if you use two hands. So what you have to do is you have to hold this giant plunger down while you slide the card in. Locks into place, let go, and now you're good to go. You just need to put the tube in the right socket. So I guess there is some chance for an idiot to make a mistake, so it's not completely idiot proof. And now you wait for it to warm up. While it's warming up, I should also mention that this can also test transistors in this little socket here, and with an adapter you can also test diodes. These lights over here, it says shorts. There's a neon light behind each of these. So instead of like the triplet where I had to flip the levers up and down to check for shorts, you don't have to do anything. If any of these lights light up, you've got a short on one of the elements. Alright, it's warmed up enough now. 3 buttons here. Line adjust, that's for adjusting this switch to calibrate the box for your local AC line voltage. This checks to see if there's any gas in the tube. No. And finally, quality tells you if the good tube is good or not. And yeah, this tube is just fine, which I already knew because I already tested it. So that's all there is to it. Find the right card, pop it in, stick the tube in, check to see if any lights are lit up, push the button. So that's about as simple as I could possibly make a tube tester. There is actually a higher model though. There is a model 123, which is even more elaborate. But yeah, I'm happy just to have this one. As far as these cards go, this came with the basic set, which covers all the common tubes, your 12AU7s, 5U4s, 12SN7s, and so on. All the tubes I'm ever likely to encounter at TV or radio. That, I should say, that was made in the 40s or 50s. Unfortunately, the only disappointment I've got with this is that although it's got the sockets, the old-time sockets for like an 80 rectifier or a 45 output tube, and the 5-pin and the 6-pin and so on, I don't have any of the cards for those. I imagine when they made this in '59, they figured that wouldn't be used anywhere near as often, so that was a specialty set you had to order, which I don't have. They also had a kit that came with a hole punch and blank card, so you can make your own. So I'm going to hunt around online, and hopefully I can make some cards for the old-timey tubes, because I've got a bunch of, like 24s and 37s and such I'd really like to be able to test in this. Once you're done testing, you pop the tube out, push the button again, so maybe it's one-handed, and you slide the card out. Like I said, helps if you use two hands. And these cards come, they're grouped by numerically and in group packs of like 50. So this covers like 12 CU6 to 25 DN6. I've gone through all the tubes in this Hallicrafter, and they're all in this pack. So, you know, like I said, that's a good thing. No tubes inside. It does have some rectifiers and a bunch of electrolytics, so I am going to pop this open and make sure that's all those components are all good, and then I'll go through the calibration process. The calibration is really cool in this because it's just a calibration card. All you got to do is put it in the machine, follow the instructions, and then just adjust those two controls. So you don't have to pop this open. You don't have to have a special test tube like some of the other testers out there. So if you can find one of these on eBay or whatnot, kind of fun little gadgets to have. So for now, back to the Hallicrafters.